Whoa, fancy seeing you here. Welcome in to today's episode of Trust the Tape.
My name is Jeff
Cavanaugh. My name is Jeff Cavanaugh, and I am with former Cowboy scout Bryan Broaddus.
Hey, Bri.
Hey, Bri. How you trusting on the tape today? You doing good tape trusting?
Doing good, man. Having fun, doing some June content. Always challenging, always interesting, but here we are.
Yeah. It's June is the month that before we went on, we were discussing. June's the month that people make stuff up.
Make stuff up, man. If you're make up
Yeah.
stuff if you want. Whatever you want to make up about a team. And like, I think Colin Cowherd did it yesterday. He had some really firing take, and you're like, and like it was like, well, how do you react to that? I'm saying, I think Colin's doing good June radio, man. That's what you do in June. You just kind of throw something really absurd out there, and here are my thoughts for the season. And then nobody ever remembers them in June. You know, it's a hot take thought. But I admire people that could go for the hot take thought in June, because that's what it's all about.
Somebody tagged me in it this morning. Otherwise, I would never know what Colin Cowherd said. But apparently, he said Schotty's going to be one and done.
That's what I'm saying, man. I mean,
go.
my man, is Jerry Jones ever one and done to coach? Even as bad as we were during the Dave Campo administration, got 3 years out of that thing. You know, so again, it's something that I absolutely admire, that someone with a straight face could go on a national program and say that. And that's June radio. That's what it's all about, man.
You know, and I would like to counter Colin Cowherd's thoughts with, I think Brian Schottenheimer wins Coach of the Year. I think he wins Coach of the Year, and he becomes a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh, wow.
And everyone is just so shocked. How did no one give this guy a head coaching gig before? He's got the right bloodline. He's got the right personality for it. I've got Brian Schottenheimer.
This is good June radio right here, Brand. I
got Coach of the Year written all over him.
This is great June radio right now. There we go. I like what you're doing.
The topic of today's conversation is Cowboys who will outperform expectations. And I have to ask you right out of the gate, am I allowed to use a coach?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm trying to think of guys, like I said, we've talked about guys that potentially could disappoint, maybe fall short of things. Are there some guys, and I went through my roster and I looked at, and I didn't try and get guys that are necessarily starters, but I think there are guys in camp that maybe you and I are standing there watching. Well, maybe you and I aren't standing, because I don't think we're there at the same time. But right. We're watching a one-on-one drill, and boy, what a good rep by that guy. Ooh, another good rep by that. What a good practice by that guy. Maybe there's a guy that's going to put together 2-3 practices. He might not be a starter, but then all of a sudden there's a week 3 injury, a week 4 injury, and this guy has to step in. Those are kind of the guys I was looking for. Maybe a little bit deeper dive into the roster. I like to do that this time of year. I know we always talk about, we have some great conversations about Pickens and Lamb and Dak and all that, but maybe there's some guys, a couple of guys that we really haven't talked about that might have a good year. Did I think that might have a good year? How about that?
Brian, what you're doing is bad June radio. You're going to dig deep on the roster. You're not going to say Dak and CD and Micah.
No.
This is June.
I think our fan base deserves better than that. Last night, Brad Sham was on with Vach and I, and Brad Sham called the media lazy.
That's
and I'm not going to be lazy. You ever see my man Vach work with Brad? Brad, they never knew. Like, Vach was calling him Mr. Sham and all that, and Brad immediately goes, "It's Brad." Him and Vach really hit it. Vach's personality is so good. Yeah. He's asked, it was some really good questions. So after you watch our program today, check out what Vach and I did last night. We'd appreciate that.
Vach is amazing because he is such a he's a freaking star. So Vach Lombardi is a star.
He's so charismatic. He
has the huge following.
Oh yeah.
The place that people like us coming from radio, like the place where you need to end up, because you want to own your own product. You want to be able to grow it. You don't want to be working for other people. Right. So he is the king of that space.
He's worked hard at it.
People that he used to listen to on radio. Yeah. Like, I remember when we first met, he's like, "I'm a fan." And I'm like, I'm a fan. You don't get to be, I am a fan.
You know what? I begged him to let me work with him.
Yeah,
I did. I realized that the importance, and I know we're getting some content here in a second, but let me just
whoops.
tell a story. Yeah, I know we get in trouble doing this every once in a while, but I begged Vach to work, and he's like, bro, he goes, I am a huge fan, the draft show, what you did at Dallas Cowboys. And I go, no, you don't understand. You have a group of fans that I want to interact with. Your fan base is unique. They're smart. I had a lot of admiration for his group, and I had a lot of admiration for him. And that Skywalker Steel. I mean, all these guys that are doing law, all these guys that are doing this YouTube stuff. I want to be a part of that, man. That right there's the future of things. That's the future of things going up, I think.
All right, so before you give me your players no one's ever heard of that are going to exceed expectations.
No, not all of them. Not all.
I do want to do some Colin Cowherd low hanging fruit.
Yeah, Matthew says content, please. Matthew, go F yourself.
Oh, okay. I need to pull that. I need Brian just saying go F yourself.
I'm sorry, man. I mean, we're human. We're having a discussion here, okay? Jesus, my God.
All right. So
I'm
Brian,
so proud of you folk to do this. And I want to be nice. I really want to be nice. But
Brian, I think I got honeydeed yesterday.
Oh, really?
So yesterday, Clarence booked Anthony Lynn.
Oh, the old coach.
Yeah, the Commanders. He's the Commanders run game coordinator and running back coach.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, Cowboys running back coach. He came in studio. So he was in there for like a half hour on yesterday's DLLS Cowboys podcast. Skipped the first half hour. We were D'ing around a lot. You just want the second half hour with Anthony Lynn.
Yeah, we do that on shows every once in a while.
Especially in late June. But I think he honeydeed me on Shoddy. Like it's one thing to hear people that you're not. It hits different when you're standing there looking somebody in the eye.
He worked with the guy. He knows the guy.
He was talking about Brian Schottenheimer, and like he went out of his way. He was like I don't throw around the word great very often. Like he's not good family, great family, great guy. And he was talking about, because Clarence was like, well, we were hoping you were going to interview for the Cowboy job. And he said, when I knew that Brian got an interview, he said, I knew that job opening was over.
Wow.
Because he was like, just the dude he is and the way that he is able to connect to and lead people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think I got honeydeed, and none of it matters if the Eagles beat them by 30. None of it matters if the Eagles beat them by 30.
Brian Schottenheimer will go down maybe as a coach that his record is 15-36 and he gets fired. And everybody's going to say what a great guy he was. Everybody's going to.
Campo.
Dave Campo. Yeah,
great guy.
Great guy. I hope he's not 15-36. I hope he doesn't end up, like with Dave. I hope he doesn't end up like that. He'll get a lot more help than what we gave Dave. And
Matthew apologized, Brian.
Bro, we're just talking here. God dang.
So anyway, I not that I'm skeptical, because it's the offseason and everybody's going to feel great about everything, et cetera, but the Schottenheimer vibes thing, like, I guess I'm kind of, in some ways, a skeptic or a cynic. And eventually I'm just like, guys, I don't care that he's everyone's best friend. I just don't care.
That honestly scares me. That scares me a little bit.
Yeah, but then I had a guy who's worked with him and knows him. Coaching circle, look me in the eye and tell me how important it is, the kind of guy he is, and I go, crap, I'm buying in.
Yeah, there you go.
Brian Schottenheimer is my guy that will exceed expectations.
Always trust people that have worked with somebody. Always trust. I think people, and if you're really, really honest with somebody about it, and matter of fact, I'm going to give you a little example. Yesterday, and I'm not going to say the name, I had to apologize to a guy that hired another person, and that person didn't work out.
Was it me?
No.
Okay.
It was somebody in the industry, but I recommended somebody that didn't work out, and I apologized to that person. I said, listen, I don't normally recommend people. I like to take that I know people, and I think I know their background, work ethics, and stuff like that, being around them.
Yeah.
But when that person doesn't work out, I told the guy, so you'll never hear from me again. I thank you for listening to me the first time. And I think we take that seriously. When somebody tells me something about somebody and they've worked with them, I take that to heart. You've seen the good and the bad. You've seen the good and the bad with that. And if somebody tells me, hey, this person is this, this, and this, and you have to be worried about this, and this, then, it's my decision to make, and the guy's like, no, hey, you recommended and it didn't work. It's not your fault. And so, but I think it's important to get, when somebody comes and talks about somebody they've spent, a lot of years with every single day of their life, I think you have to take that to heart. And I hope that Schotty works out that way. I hope he works out as that the good guy, the caring guy, the guy that wants to, make things fun again and interesting and all that. I hope it works out. I hope that's not something that steamrolls him at the end, where people, when they start losing games, it's like, he's too damn nice.
Right.
Camp Cupcake. Why they have a damn ping pong table in the locker room? When do we get back to Jimmy Johnson football, where we're doing, Oklahoma drill every single day?
That's
and
not
110.
happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
over.
saying. There will be people that are my age that will come back and talk about, why can't we get a Jimmy Johnson coach in here? Why do we have to get a nice guy? Why did Jerry and Steven hire a guy that everybody likes? Why don't we bring back Bill Parcells? He was a prick to everybody. Why don't we bring that guy back? We were able to win, See, that
would be fun.
I worry about the backlash if things don't start well for Schottenheimer.
Yeah, and I think there's almost no chance he's one and done, just because I don't think Jerry Jones is going to pay out a 4-year contract or whatever for a guy that's only worked 1 year. Like, you could convince me he wouldn't see the end of the contract if it doesn't go well, but I don't think you can convince me that there's 1 year on it and Jerry's going to pay out that much and have to hire a new coach. I don't buy that.
No.
He's never done it before.
No.
All right, Brian, if you want to go digging deep on the roster, give it to me. Hit me with it. Who's going to exceed expectations? And keep in mind while you're telling me that I'm always wondering, is it the hot dog or is it the bun?
Now, this is a hot dog bun.
I think it's a hot dog, too.
I'm going to give you the hot dog.
Oh,
it's going to be Awesome Richards. It's going to be Awesome Richards. I think Awesome Richards is going to come into this camp this year, and we're all kind of focusing on Guyton. I think Awesome Richards is going to make things difficult for Guyton. I think the practices are going to be good. I think there's going to be the one-on-one periods, the 9-on-7 periods, the Rams scrimmage. I think there's going to be some Awesome Richards moments where there's a little bit of that, wow, if anything, we've got a really nice backup tackle, I'm expecting a very, very high level of play from Awesome Richards this year and it's going to make it difficult on Guyton and keeping his job.
So I guess the answer to that is already yes, but are you telling me that you believe they'll allow that to be a competition?
Yeah, I will. I'll say that. Yeah, I will.
I love that. That's one of the things. Guyton's one of the guys that I'm pulling for, and I think they need him to be way better. But if he's not, I really hope we're not going to do he's a first-round pick. We're going to give him every opportunity. Day one, if he ain't better, put the better guy in.
Yeah, I'm totally interested in having and seeing what Awesome Richards is going to do. I think Awesome Richards is now to the point of his career where he's been through this. He understands. I think he's in a position to challenge, and I think it'll be a good challenge, because if anything, if Guyton slips a little bit with a new offensive line coach, couple new line coaches, couple sets of new eyes, and then you got a head coach, you get coaches that come in there and say, hey, this guy gives us a better chance. This guy gives us, I think in training camp, we're going to be talking about Awesome Richards in glowing terms. That's my one guy. And I've got several others, but I'm going to start with that one.
You know what? I don't like that one because it's going against my guy who changed his diet and does his yoga. Okay. My guy is going to show up and hopefully be better. Can I ask you, if a guy's on the list, because I don't have the stones to put him on the list.
Okay.
But I think it would be fun if he exceeded expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Sam Williams. I think he's like the lost
Oh,
name in the group of edge guys because you've
Yeah.
got a second-round pick in Azaraku. Fowler got money. You obviously have Parsons, and Nealand is a former second-round pick, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
Mhm.
Williams, when he did play a bunch of snaps, God, what was it, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Like, yes, he got a bunch of penalties. He also
Yeah.
made a bunch of splash plays in terms of
Mhm.
pressures, tackles for loss, batting down balls. Like
Mhm.
that body and that athleticism still has a bunch in it that's never really come together. And I wonder, could he surprise in terms of, no, he's not clearly the fifth edge guy.
Mm-hmm. No, I totally think there's a chance that Sam Williams, I know in the one media practice that I got to attend, Sam Williams showed explosiveness. Matter of fact, Micah Parsons and him jumped into a drill together, and Parsons was trying to beat him to the bag. We know what Micah's explosiveness
Two dudes
is.
that can fly.
And then Sam came off the ball, and it was like tag bag by first. And I was like, okay, I like what you're doing there, Sam Williams. Yeah, that's my hope. I think I've kind of got Sam Williams penciled in as having that kind of, and it, not just from seeing one bag drill, but I kind of feel like that maybe all the things that he's gone through have now kind of, he's been able to navigate that, and now he realizes, yeah, he's got an uphill climb. I mean, he's going to have to. That's a deep group over there at edge.
Yeah.
But man, he could, if he continues to show the explosiveness and the quickness and all that, I'll tell you what, I think Sam Williams will be fine for you. I really, really do.
Boy, and if he's the hot dog and not the bun, that's what we've decided, right? Hot dog is good.
Yeah,
Bun
hot
is
dog.
bad.
The bun's going to carry it. The bun's carrying it, but the hot dog is the most important thing. To me, the hot dogs, it's the most important thing.
Okay, so neither one is bad.
The
so
meat,
if we say,
no, they're
dog
good.
or is it the bun, nothing's bad.
Yeah, nothing's bad. Nothing's bad. No, hot
So
dog's not
it's
bad.
bad if you're.
There's nothing bad about a hot dog. Nothing.
So it's bad if you're the relish, or if you're the mayo.
No,
you don't want to put mayo on a hot dog.
Hey, there's nobody puts mayo on a hot dog.
Joe Hoyt does, whose last day with the DLLS Cowboys podcast is today. So I request everyone tune in.
Congratulations to Joe. Congratulations. Good for him getting back to where he, and he did a fine job with you guys. Really,
and
really did.
You know what? We praised Vach earlier because he deserves it. Joe Hoyt deserves our praise today as well. Yeah. Joe, I did not know Joe when we got started. They had me have a phone call with him to see if we get along or whatever before bringing him in. And I will tell you, Joe Hoyt is effing awesome.
Yeah. He'll do a great job.
He's a really good writer. He cares about the stuff that not everyone cares about. Like Joe's going to go do a story on player 41 and find the interesting stuff and help you learn. Like Joe cares. Joe busts his ass. Not a bad little broadcaster, but Joe's always been a writer. And so to have the opportunity to just go right
good for him.
the place where he started, he wants
good
to do
for him.
it. Joe Hoyt's a beast. I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah.
Clarence Hill could learn a lot from Joe Hoyt.
I think so too.
I'm just throwing that in there because I know Clarence will hear it and get mad at me.
Yeah, I know.
Next guy.
How about Peyton Turner?
That would be great. Again,
there's
crowded ass edge group. I just named 5 and I didn't name him.
But I feel like, to me, this is where he's different. I'm kind of looking at him. I'm looking for the left end, is what most teams in NFL are right-handed. And so, you get that kind of, unless you're playing the Dolphins, then they're a left-handed team. But you're kind of in that mode where you're trying to figure out, how do you replace Tank Lawrence run stopping ability at left end? Supposedly, we look at how they Marshawn Nealand, how they've drafted and stuff like that. Yeah, okay, injury. He was making some progress. Injury. Okay, where is he really at? Peyton Turner's a guy, if you watch the tape at the Saints, you see a good run defender, not a great pass rusher, but you see a long, rangy guy that can kind of control blocks, can take on tight ends, keep the outside shoulder free, play the run, keep it back inside. I think Peyton Turner's going to be a guy that people, when we watch, like, okay, it's the one-on-one stuff's not going to look great, but when they get to the team and 9-on-7 and it's a or even the preseason, if he, when they get to play, God, I hope they get to play. But him coming up field, kind of keeping run stopped. Oh, Peyton Turner's on the tackle there. Peyton Turner with, oh, let's watch that play again. Oh, look, Peyton Turner squeezed it here. I think Peyton Turner, for what they what they signed him for, or they traded for him, I believe is what they did. The trade
Turner was
he was in that whole mix where they were trading.
And Elam was a trade, and Murray was a trade.
I think it was his signing, straight signing. So I see him as being a guy. We're focusing on speed with Sam Williams, Fowler, Micah. They're going to have some edge players. Peyton Turner, my guy for edge play.
Okay, now let me counter you with another backup defensive lineman. Let me just throw one at you then. How about that? Hot dog or bun?
Mm-hmm.
And this one requires stones on my behalf, because I do believe a couple of things turn out to be true in the NFL a lot. I believe playing on the defensive line, especially as a run defender and as a big guy, requires time. I think it's hard to just show up when in college you get to be bigger and stronger, because most of those guys aren't going to the NFL, and now you got to really learn what the hell you're doing because you're playing against monsters.
Mm-hmm.
But because I think there's an opportunity for snaps, maybe this is just a little bit of optimism and hope. Jay Toya, 7th round nose tackle. It'll take overcoming that it is a big leap, and you are a 7th round pick.
UCLA though, big time football.
Yeah, and I think he has such an opportunity that if he's the kind of guy, which I don't know this, that Tyler Booker is, because everything I've heard, and Joe Hoyt is one of the guys that's been talking to me about this, he's like the most prepared and squared away dude on the team, and he's a rookie. And if you have that mentality and you're doing everything you can to be ready, I think there's a big opportunity there. And if Jay Toya can just be who he is and be a big, strong MFer, I think there's an opportunity for him to do a lot.
Yeah, I think to me, when you look at JT, he was a guy that Brad Sham brought up last night. He was
nice.
We were kind of talking about. Voch asked him a question about rookies, and immediately he went to JT on this one and said, "Listen, I there's something about a big square guy playing in the middle of your defense. And this is not one of these, and no offense to Directional University, but this is a UCLA, kind of just trying to get back into it, Big Ten football, playing against Michigan, playing against Penn State, playing against big schools, and you're dealing with big linemen and stuff, and his ability to take on Shed, he is not going to be a great pass rusher for you. Please
don't want him to be.
Don't feel like that this is going to be.
I want him to be that, Brian. I want him to be that.
Any one of those guys. This guy is a hold the point of attack. Allow linebackers to move. Maybe make the ball bounce to the edge. Maybe that's where Peyton Turner is standing there waiting for him, or downhill Jack Sanborn. Maybe that's where this is all going to come from. But yeah, he's an interesting guy just because of his size. But you watch UCLA tape, his ability not to get turned and moved, and that's the thing. When you watch Mozzie play, early Mozzie was getting turned. You saw his numbers. You never saw the fit. You saw a number. You saw a number start, and then the numbers disappeared. When numbers disappear in a defensive lineman, that's bad. That is bad. And so you see a squareness about his game. I like what you did with this one.
David said that he joined late, but he's about the extras and the stories, and he could listen to us talk about Tupperware. I will tell you guys a secret. I've never made the investment, but people have delivered things to me in the good Tupperware, like has some stuff to it. Boy, if I had that, it might be my favorite thing. I might go Tupperware shopping today. I got the half-ass real light ones, but if you have a Tupperware of heft, boy, you feel secure about what you're working with.
I've never, and Jeff, this is embarrassing to say, when we were throwing parties at your place, when I was able to come by, and that's my fault, not your fault. You've invited me to a lot of things.
I have.
When I'm always the old guy that cleans up because everybody's had about a million fireball shots and having fun. So I'm the cleanup guy. I don't want you to wake up with a hangover and just a kitchen full of everything.
And a backyard. You got to walk around. You got to fill about 6 trash bags of crap. You're like, my friends suck.
Your friends suck.
Clean up after yourselves.
I'm just saying this. doing your dishes to kind of get things organized, your Tupperware collection is horrendous. I'm just going to say that.
It's like you buy a 10-pack of all of it, it's not like
Bro,
it's not
you got it.
functional, it's just they
You just
suck.
got to get the heavyweight ones with the lids that snap, and not the ones with the Glad that are thin and no. But your Tupperware connection is not.
I know.
Great.
I could do something about it today. I wonder if At Home has Tupperware. I was thinking about swinging by for a shower curtain. So
I'll tell you what, if you could go to like Sam's is really good. Costco, they've got really good stuff.
That's too much of a walk. I like a less busy store. That's what I like.
Gotcha.
Who's your next player, Brian?
How about this one? How about Jonathan Mingo?
Ooh, take Tolbert snaps?
I'm just saying. I think this guy has taken a lot of grief.
He has.
I don't think he's played with a quarterback since Ole Miss that's worth a damn.
Yeah.
For him. I think this is a guy that last year he was engaged when he wasn't getting the ball. He showed he wanted to be a part, whether it was blocking, point of attack stuff. He showed like he didn't pout and just go off and not do anything and feel sorry for himself. He stayed engaged. I think he's going to be really engaged. There's a possibility here. They've got to figure out behind the first two receivers who are going to be 3, 4, 5. They've got to figure that out. He has an advantage over the other receivers, size and toughness. I think this guy is in for one of these things. When we get at camp, we're going to get, God, what a good looking kid he is. Wow, look at him. Look, he's snatching that ball. Dak getting it to him. Oh, look at that route. Oh, look at that crack toss. Look who got the block. 80. Oh, that's why. Okay. I think there's going to be a lot of conversations at camp about how he's playing. And I think the things that he does really, really well, like I say, the physical aspect of the game is going to translate, and that's going to make him different than the Tolberts. We'll see if Flournoy could be a guy like that. We'll see if Brooks could be a guy like that. But right now, Mingo has the advantage because he has that edge to him. So
yeah,
that's
I think for me, he's been such a forgotten man. I mean, as we've been talking about the team throughout June, I think it's just in my mind been that Tolbert is the third wide receiver and that fits him better than asking him to be like the other guy for CD. All right. I've basically forgotten that Mingo exists, but the idea that it could be so opened up because you have two receivers that people are worried about. And now for Mingo, I feel like what they've been hunting for with him, with Flournoy, with Brooks is a cheap way to find the real big-bodied guy, sort of an X, if you will. And even at Ole Miss, when he was having his success, that's not necessarily what his game was. He was more of like an underneath guy and now raise hell because you're a monster. Mm-hmm. And if you've got two other receivers drawing a lot of attention, even if Mingo could be a guy that's kind of a tunnel screen and people will let us get the ball to you at least initially because the coverage is dictating everywhere else, and he could just be a raise hell after the catch guy. That would be a nice little add to this team. So I like the name you use. That's a hot dog. I like that.
Yeah. I think to me, and Phil's on here, and I've noticed Phil's text message. He's been very kind of a negative guy throughout the program. He says,
Phil, they drafted him in the second round. Let's get our
second round.
Straight,
if you're gonna, that's about to say, if you're gonna be critical, let's make sure we get it right. Let's not just throw stuff out there that's not accurate. That's up to Jeff and I. We could do that.
That's right. It's June. We can do what we want. We got a super chat. First super chat of the day, baby. 1906 exec. I'm kind of pissed. I don't like the way the media is treating Trayvon Diggs, using his brother's doctor Miami as evidence he's trying harder, not slacking off. Let's show some loyalty and quit trashing. Yeah. Trayvon's going to be a polarizing one because people, I would say that Brian and others have hinted at things about him and the relationship and the work ethic questions and all of those things for years. And now it's kind of out in the open that the training staff and Trayvon not on the same side all the time, don't necessarily get along. Jerry Jones talking about the way that he's rehabbed. So if he's turned a corner and is doing things differently, that's great. but just know that the stories don't come from nowhere.
No, they will not. In the fact that and I appreciate the acknowledgement, Jeff. Myself, again, Brad Sham and I were talking about it last night. That going into this, it was like, man, we were hearing the whispers that things aren't going very well, and that the rehab was, and this was last year, not this year. But there is, and we all have rights to be able to go and seek whatever medical attention we need. The problem is, though, when you're trying to gauge the readiness of a player, and it even happened with Ravel. Ravel was on a program in Dallas where he was working, but they had to completely adjust his program when he came on with the team. So the only thing the medical staff is now in a little bit of a problem, a hard spot, is that they're not really sure the readiness of Diggs. They won't know where Diggs is really, really at until the middle of August. Unfortunately, that's, if Diggs was here working the whole time, then they would have a little bit better understanding of his readiness. I get it. Diggs doesn't like Britt Brown. He doesn't. I don't think he does.
Right. I don't think Britt Brown likes him either.
But I think Britt Brown is in a situation too where he's going to work with whoever works with. Like he, I've heard nothing but positive things about Ravel coming in and trying to heard nothing but positive things from people talking about Dak and what Dak has done. That maybe Dak might be in the best condition of coming off a major injury that he's had in his career. And so those are positive things that you hear, within the organization. But Diggs, there's so much uncertainty right now. And that's media not slamming Diggs. Media is just reacting to what the owner, president, and general manager said to us. That's all he's doing. That's all we're doing. We're not making stuff up. Jerry Jones told you that he needed to be more diligent with his rehab. That was a statement. And that's something we knew about before even Jerry said it. And some of us brought that up.
Yep. Brian, we have exceeded our time limit, and I have to go to work. If you have the guys that you didn't name yet, name them, even though they're not going to get much time here. By the way, Jack Sanborn. Jack Sanborn's going to do his job. Yeah,
I think Jack Sanborn was good. I mentioned Luke Schoonmaker was one I was going to add.
Scooney.
I was going to add, and Kenneth Murray was my other one.
Yeah, I like your Kenneth Murray campaign. I want you to be right about that one. Yeah, I want you to be right about that one.
Hey, Brian.
All right, Brian, I appreciate you, brother. Have a wonderful day.
You do the same,
Make sure
Jeff.
you guys are checking out everything that Brian does. It sounds like he, Voch, and Brad Sham had a wonderful conversation last night that I got to go catch. You should go check it out as well. Everybody tweet something nice to Joseph Hoyt, as it's his last day on the DLLS Cowboys podcast.
Congrats, Joe.
He's a beast. And